Hello everyone. I'll be going live with a breakfast chat at 10 o'clock today. You know, if you follow me, you'll tend to see that I cover the overreaching aspects of power and power abuse and the dynamics which control it. There are so many things going on today with the WHO trying to create panic and alarm and telling on your neighbour, although Boris's dad was seen in a shop, I think it was yesterday, without a mask. We've got threat of the army coming in to enforce vaccination now, which should scare the living daylights out of everyone. But we've got to learn to deal with that fear. We've got to learn to deal with the manipulation that we see going on. This is where I think myself and some of my survivor friends come into, come into a place of their own, a position of their own, really, because we've seen power abuse, we've seen the face of it, and we know it's an ugly thing, and we tend to get pushed aside because having seen that face can change you, and the authorities can sense it. They want people to goose step, they want people just to, brown nose quite happily without thinking. So we've tended, I've always felt, to be a bit of a subgroup because of what we've experienced, and it's a sort of an unconscious thing. So we come into our own because we do have knowledge about this power system and how it works. And real victimhood being turned away from in favour of people, say, like Meghan, with the fake stares and the controlling smiles, using a sense of victimhood which isn't even her own, which is borrowed, to make a globalised thing, taking our prince away. It's very deliberate, the way that some of these people manipulate using selective, segregated causes. And say that it raises all ships, when in fact, if you look after nation, the patriarch, the patriarchy, it raises all ships of all different kinds and doesn't just float, one boat. But if that one boat is central and you don't sink it, lots of the other people can sit aboard and enjoy the view and enjoy, the great city, the great life, the great country. But we are seeing a city that is falling now, like Babylon, like the historic fall of Babylon. Was there ever such a great city? Is the irony. And the merchants of the earth were the world's finest men. This is the irony. Yet she bought and sold and tricked everyone with promiscuous selling and glamorizing. All nations. You can imagine what kind of a prostitute that would be, taking in everybody, as our nations have done. But does that really make an overlord that's so very much more terrible than, say, the British Empire? I think it makes one that's a hell of a lot more terrible. And they'll let you pull down statues and rewrite history and reclaim your colonial glory for yourself, but that will in itself create a sphere of a superpower state that cares for nobody. And this is what we have to realise. They're giving you a tokenism here, and the real victimhood goes unseen with the Meghan smiles and the pretend victimhoods for the men who like to be seen to be big, because it's always a difficult position for males. Generally they want something that makes them feel big, and rather than what really is, because what really is sometimes a victimhood that isn't so trendy, not so pink and fluffy. If you're a real hero, there's enough heroes in this country with a patriotic sense of wanting to exist. There are plenty of people out there who you could go and save and rescue and help. They might not turn you away. But feminism comes from a place, and I'd like to explain this. It comes from a place not of something solely to destroy men. It's a consequence of the patriarchy and patriotic sense of structure being pulled down, and women trying to find another way, encouraged to. So it's very difficult for men and women to fulfill sort of a more classical function, especially when all the archetypes are being removed and replaced by more global ones. And archetypes have been very important for Europe. But when you have a system that doesn't recognise real victimhood, and it doesn't recognise real heroes, I said they've been super implanted by people with different different agendas and causes. More popular, easy on the eye ones, more superficial, glamorous, not real, and kind of a little bit gritty, because the real gritty is a little bit competitive, a little bit ugly sometimes, and it has rough edges, but it has a glory that's a unified glory that we're not allowed to fight for anymore, because this globalized superstate decided to give out multicolored beads and pearls to everybody to raise their financial position or their social position, and ignore suffering of everybody, because they don't really, when you raise the identity groups here there, they may go to university, they may get better jobs, but it doesn't tend to feed through to the real victims in any real sense, because real victims, like trafficked people, probably go on even more in a more globalized world. So what we're looking at is probably more victimization, which the left always create with their nutty ideologies. We can fix it, which is more to do with nurture and creating from a supposed blank sheet than nature, and letting nature flourish in the way that's intended, without being revolutionized, changed for something artificial and easier to swallow, maybe, for people who can't stand the reality of the victimhood and the horror that is beneath their noses, and run from the smoke of those camps where people are really suffering closer to home. So yeah, I'm putting this out. I'm in a good mood. I need to have a cup of tea so that I can really say what I want to say in the way I want to say it. But I've given you a 5-minute one there, so that I know some of you follow me here and may not follow me on my YouTube video recording. Just giving you an idea of what I'm talking about, and how the state is becoming this peculiar thing, using the army now. It was very easy for people like me to see that the state had, the super state above the state had been people were pulling the strings that were not of a traditional type. There was no way out. Every door was shut. It was, as I called it, an oath to hell. It meant that there was just no way through the institutions, and the process of keeping people controlled and institutionalized, really. There was no way back to the mainstream, and this is what people within the mainstream, especially academics, don't realise with their dislike of victimhood, that the cycle of abuse the institutions keep people in is what we are witnessing now with the social controls that are affecting everybody. So now you're seeing what we were kept under, that was kept under the veil, if you like, of public visibility, the type of control measures that the institutions have always used, and the duality, the lack of accountability, the trickery and the lies. There's no stranger to us. Anyway, I shall be with you in about half an hour. Chat to you later. Maybe, no, 10 o'clock I'll aim for. See you all.